Achieving a gorgeous grin from home isn't a total mystery with Byte Clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all of your sleuthing friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Byte Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Ready to pop the question? The jewelers at BlueNile.com have got sparkle down to a science with beautiful lab-grown diamonds worthy of your most brilliant moments. Their lab-grown diamonds are independently graded and guaranteed identical to natural diamonds, and they're ready to ship to your door. Go to BlueNile.com and use promo code LISTEN to get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more. That's code LISTEN at BlueNile.com for $50 off. BlueNile.com, code LISTEN.
The right shoes can take an outfit from good to great. Allbirds elevates your everyday style with timeless comfort and supreme versatility. Like their all-new Courier, a shoe with nods to a classic silhouette for undeniable appeal and made from 100% organic cotton. The Allbirds Courier is a natural classic shoe that keeps up with each step you take throughout your day and night. Its clean, retro silhouette keeps things casual, while the intricate details give it enough oomph to wear out and about. It's the sneaker that feels like you're walking on air. And at the Allbirds Innovation Lab, they're doing all the sciencey stuff, like research and testing, to create shoes from natural, sustainable materials, like leather made from plants, sugarcane, and tree fibers. Materials so natural, one might even say they're supernatural. Everyday comfort, delivered. Allbirds all-new Courier. Elevate your supernatural style at allbirds.com today and use code SOCKSTYLE for free socks with your purchase. That's ALLBIRDS.com, code SOCKSTYLE.
For over 10 years, Grammarly has been powered by AI technology that you trust and rely on by helping you across all the places where you write the most. With one click, you can easily brainstorm, rewrite, and reply quickly with suggestions based on your context and goals. Accelerate productivity for you and your teams. More than 30 million people rely on Grammarly to help them with their writing today. Applying to new jobs? With Grammarly by your side, you can apply to your dream job with confidence by tailoring your cover letter and revising your resume in seconds. A big presentation coming up? Let Grammarly create a personalized outline to get you organized, so you can transform your ideas into a compelling presentation. For your next vacation, it can help you create a whole itinerary. Grammarly is here to assist you at every step of your writing, so you can show up with confidence. You'll be amazed at what you can do. Go to Grammarly.com/podcast to download for free. That's GRAMMARLY.com/podcast.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been enjoying, I guess is... Well, we'll get to that.
What we've landed on for now.
I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth. This week we're talking The Two Usuals, plus a Korean television series, more Mexican horror, and an upcoming horror gem.
Ooh.
I know.
That's exciting.
I can't say much about it, but I know that I can give some early reactions. So I'm going to hype it before it comes out.
And before we do get to it, I do want to say that starting today, when this episode drops, Servant Season 2 is out. I've seen the first 3 episodes. It's really fucking good. The first 2 episodes are directed by Julia Ducournau.
Ducournau, yeah.
Ducournau. And there is a scene in which a character cuts a blistered, pus-filled, oozing sack on his hand, and it's gross and disturbing, and it is a really good... The season 2 is really upping the ante in terms of both the horror, the supernatural, and there's a part for you, Mary Beth, that is it does this really interesting thing with like second screen almost in a way where...
Ooh.
Because like most of the action, well, pretty much 99% of the action is inside this house. And when we see stuff outside the house, it's through the TV, and they use it's an Apple product, so they use a lot of Apple tech. But there is a sequence in the 3rd episode where they have like put a camera on someone. And so like they're watching him outside the house going to do this thing. And they're watching through. So we were watching them watch through the television of this guy going out because no, we can't ever leave the house for us. So it's just this really interesting thing where it's like we're watching in first person this guy's espionage mission.
Cool.
And it's really cool.
Fuck yeah. I need to watch it. You keep reminding me.
It's so
just
good.
Apple TV.
I know.
Fine. I already give Apple all my money, so might as well just continue.
It's only $4.99.
I know, but they're all only $4.99, and then there's like 10 of them.
And then you have like 20 different services, and you get your bill a month, and you're like, where's all my money going? Oh, it's for these little a la carte things.
Well, the worst part is like I forget and they're auto pay, and then I look at my statement. I'm like, oh fuck, they're just all taking money out of my account.
Yep.
I'm like, where did all my money go? I'm like, oh, that's where it's going.
Yep.
But
so, what did you watch this week, Mary Beth?
So this week I have been really depressed. So I've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley. Full disclosure, it has been very good on my Switch. I used to play it on my Mac, and then I got a Switch, and then I decided to just play it on my Switch. So that's been very fun. In terms of horror, I have been watching Sweet Home.
That Korean series, right?
Yeah, the Korean series on Netflix that was based off of a webtoon comic of the same name. And I'm watching it with Steve, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It is basically a zombie movie, but instead of zombies, people turn into monsters. And each monster is based on like one of the things they kind of desire. Oh. And so so it's like, it's cool because each monster is very different, has different strengths, and they're all really creepy. So it's really hard to fight them because there's like no individual way to kill them.
Oh.
Yeah. And so it all takes place mostly in this big apartment complex where all of the residents are trying to work together to like survive. And there's a whole survivor trying to survive. Survivors banding together and also having problems and like all that good stuff. So, but it's really well done. They do a really good job working with all of the characters. There's a lot of characters, and so it feels really well balanced to me in terms of like how many people they focus on and who they has a bigger backstory than the others. So I am really enjoying that so far. It's on Netflix. I recommend it 100%. The CGI is a little iffy at parts, but like,
yeah, that was the thing I noticed in the trailers is that it looks a little cartoony, I guess.
It gets a little bit better as it goes on. There's some practical effects with the monsters, but yeah, the CGI isn't great, but like I can forgive it.
It's also a television show, so. Yeah,
it's a television show and they're being really ambitious, and like I can kind of commend them for that. So that's been the big thing I've been watching. The other thing the movie I want to talk about, I can only provide some like early reactions, but it's Sator.
Yeah.
Sator is a movie directed by Jordan Graham. It's been kind of making the festival circuit since 2019. It's finally coming to VOD on the 5th of February.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me fact check myself because I think there's something else coming out on the 5th of February.
I feel like everything is coming out on the 5th of February for some reason.
Yes, it's coming out on it's coming out on the 9th of February.
Oh, the 9th. Okay.
But it's this really, I'm calling it the film that A24 has always wanted to make.
No. Oh.
It's got Hagazusa vibes.
Oh.
It's very, and so it's like a demonic presence movie. And it's a family that lives in the woods. They're a broken family, and their grandmother with dementia keeps saying that Sator is coming. And who is Sator? I don't know. You'll find out. But it's slow. So if you don't really like the slow, like atmospheric, like long, beautiful shots of the woods, you probably might not like it, but the atmosphere is just absolutely gorgeous. And the way it builds is really good. And it switches between like 16:9 widescreen, beautiful, colorful footage to square, like 8mm.
Oh, yeah.
Black and white film. And there's some really interesting found footage aspects to it, which I really appreciated. And so it's just like a beautiful experience. So I won't say anything else, but that's coming out in February. So keep an eye out for it because it's really good.
This was like a long gestating project for him too, wasn't it? Didn't I think I read somewhere that it's like he's worked on it for like 6 years?
I don't know exactly. All I know is that it's been out, like it's been circulating for a while, and I just never have seen it. I am so glad I've seen it, though.
Well, I guess according to the trivia on IMDb, it's been in post-production for almost 6 years due to solo work and budget limits. So this is like a labor of love in some ways, it seems like.
Well, you can tell. And I think he did almost everything. Like he wrote it, he directed it, he did the music, he produced it. Like it's like basically like a one-man show.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that kind of independent spirit.
Oh, I know. I absolutely love it. So check that out when it comes out. It's so good. And today in the mail, I got my Dark and the Wicked Blu-ray and my She Dies Tomorrow DVD.
Awesome.
I got my paycheck and I was like, I'm going to buy myself some DVDs even though I don't need any more.
Hell yeah.
So that is the encapsulation of what I have been consuming this week. What about you, Terry?
So last week I talked about this Spanish director, Ruben Galindo Jr., and his sort of Nightmare on Elm Street slasher-esque type movie called Don't Panic. Well, there was a trio of them that had been released through Vinegar Syndrome, including Don't Panic, and so I wanted to continue down this path. And so this week I watched Grave Robbers by him. And unlike Don't Panic, this one is fully in Spanish. It's an entire Spanish cast. They all speak in Spanish, so this is a little bit different than Don't Panic, and I actually liked it better.
Oh, okay.
It starts off in like the Inquisition area where this man who is an executioner for the Inquisition is about ready to try to rape a woman, but then he gets like axed with to impregnate her with the Antichrist for some reason. I don't know the semantics of how that's going to work, but he ends up getting axed in the chest, and the last thing he says is that one day someone will come and pull the axe out and I will continue my quest. And cut to 300 years later, and some grave robbers have stumbled upon his grave. They find his body, they take out his axe, and he continues doing what he was doing before and starts hacking people up. It's kind of low budget.
Okay.
It's obviously aping the sort of like zombie undead killer that became popular towards the end of the 80s. This one came out in 89. But there is one sequence inside a jail where like it goes into like an almost surreal territory where there's like someone is laying in bed and a hand bursts through his chest, and then there's like hands reaching through the walls. Like there's this really cool supernatural moment that I thought was really well done. The rest of the movie doesn't really live up to that sequence, and there's a lot of screaming in this movie.
Okay. Amazing.
Oh, the women in this movie just like to run around screaming like super loud. It's very shrill.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it a lot more actually than Don't Panic.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a Vinegar Syndrome release, so you kind of know what you're going to get sometimes. But yeah, it's fun. I had a good time with this one. There's some fun gore effects, and the puppetry is low budget but kind of cool.
Ooh, puppetry.
Yeah, there's a moment where when he like comes alive and like his head pops up out of like the grave, and it's obviously, you know, like a puppet, and there's some like that kind of work in it. But yeah, it's fun. It's a good time. I had a fun time watching it.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that's Grave Robbers.
Okay.
Segueing a bit from that, still keeping with the slasher trend,
Yep.
but moving forward, quite a few years. What do we think of Wrong Turn 3, Left 4 Dead? Mary Beth.
You know, I actually had a bit more fun with this one than the second, I will say.
So what's the plot this time?
The plot, it's a van load of prisoners are run off the road by a crazy cannibal, and they're left to fight for survival in the trap-laden woods. So basically, these cops are transferring these like dangerous prisoners to another facility, and they're taking a back road so they won't get caught by like the bad guys who are going to break the guys out. And then
It's very convoluted.
It's very convoluted. And then they're driving down like obviously like middle of nowhere West Virginia road, and our usual cannibals come out of nowhere with their tow truck, run them off the road, and then it's just it's like two cops and a bunch of criminals trying to both like killing each other, and then there's the cannibals killing them, and then a woman appears from the beginning, and it's there's a lot of racism because it's like the white prisoners against the Mexican prisoners, and there's just a lot of racism.
It's also kind of misogynistic.
It's very misogynistic. There's a lot of talking about sexual assault. It feels very 2009. Let's just kind of put it that way. Like, it is a product of its time. Like, watching it now, it's like, ugh. But that's unfortunately the kind of humor that I feel like was prevalent in that area.
What I did realize watching this, though, is that in some ways it feels a lot more regressive than even the slashers of the 80s, because the women characters in this, well, there's only like, 3, I think. And one gets killed in the beginning.
Jesus.
One gets strung up in barbed wire to be killed, and then the other, the quote unquote hero of it, gets strung up and hung out in barbed wire. But they're not empowered. Like, it's not their movie. It is about the straight men that are must rescue the woman from being assaulted and murdered by and eaten by the cannibals. So they're not given any power. So there's not even, I wouldn't even call her like a final girl in this, because even though she does survive to the end, it's not about her journey. She is an afterthought.
Yeah, well, she's mostly there so the prisoners can make jokes about assaulting her and touching her boobs.
Yep.
Like, just for fun, just like a little fun splash in there of just blatant misogyny.
A little bit of, tits in the beginning, because we got to have a woman sunbathing out there in the beginning and then getting shot through the boob.
Okay, I will say though that was pretty rad.
It was rad.
I know it's bad, but this guy is grabbing her boob and talking about how much he loves her boobs, and then an arrow comes flying through her boob into his hand. And my God, what a phenomenal way to start the movie.
I mean, it is. It definitely starts off on a high note of sorts, I guess.
It does, but the problem is it starts like really fast. I'm like, fuck yeah, like we're just going for it. And like the cannibals, again, ableist, terrible, but they're more fun, I think, because they laugh. There's like some weird, creepy laugh going on with this one that I kind of enjoyed. And they seemed like a little bit more creepy in this one, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but they felt more like a weird, creepy presence throughout the woods because they were laughing and it was echoing around the woods. That I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like when a movie would start out super serious, and then by like the third entry in the movie, it becomes a little less serious with the killer. And so like he does have a little bit of zany energy to him running around. Third actor playing this Three Toes character Three Fingers character. There's one that's 3 toes and one that's 3 fingers.
I honestly can't keep track of which one is which. So I'm just like, all right, we're just gonna like who
I think the main character is Three Finger, who was played by the guy from Anything for Jackson.
Oh, okay.
And then he's played by different actors each time. So he's a little zany in this. The one of my notes that I took was that I love when angry straight men get so close to each other because they want to like, I guess, threaten the other person, but it's so close that they could be kissing. And that happens about like 2 minutes into introducing the prisoners. And it cracks me up every time. It's like, if you were any closer, you would literally be inside their mouth.
It's so funny. I was watching it while I was working just because like, it was just white. It's not something you have to pay a lot of attention to.
No.
And Steve was like, what are you watching? And I told him, and he said, oh, is it going to be a poignant critique on the prison industrial complex? Sarcastically, I'm like, oh, yes, a very deep critique of our carceral system.
So deep.
Just kidding. That's not even once mentioned. Surprise.
No.
More poop humor. Not as bad.
More
poop humor.
Pupe. More pupe.
I mean, like, at this point, I also think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than 2 because my expectations have been lowered way down.
Yeah.
So my expectations are so low, and I'm watching it. I'm like, this is, like, good, dumb fun. Like, it's gross and it has some like really big problems in it. But, it's like a dumb slasher to put on.
I suggested to Mary Beth that when we start going through these wrong turn movies, maybe with this one, that we start like singling out something nice to say about it. And I actually, with you, enjoyed this one more than 2.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
I think, it's filmed. I was surprised at how good the cinematography and the lighting of it worked, because the way 2 was lit, I mean, you could tell they spent all of their money on the gore.
Yeah.
In the second one, because it looked like a straight to DVD release of the early aughts. Whereas this one had a little bit more character to the way it was filmed, where it actually felt more like a real movie.
Yep.
So in my mind, I do think, I actually, like, I know that this is a hot take for us, but I agree. I think it's better than the second one. Not saying much,
No.
but it is slightly better than the second one for me.
It really is. I 100% agree.
So right now for the rankings, I think for me it'd be 1, 3, and then 2.
I agree. I also agree with that. So, okay. I don't know. I have to remember. Is 4's in the Snow?
4 is in the Snow.
Do people like that one-ish?
People seem to like that one.
Again, don't really know what that means in terms of they like it, but...
Well, I honestly think that the reason why people like that one is that for the longest time, people have wanted to see Jason in the Snow. And so,
okay.
In my opinion, without having seen it, I have a feeling that it has more to do with, it's a slasher movie in the snow, finally.
Okay.
But I could be mistaken. Maybe it is a hidden gem.
Okay.
We'll see next week. It's directed by the same guy that directed this one.
I think he does 4, 5, and 6.
Or 3, 4, and 5 at least.
I'm pretty sure. I thought I saw. Whatever.
Does he do 6?
I think.
We'll find out. He does not do 6.
Oh, he doesn't. Okay. I was telling Terry, I am ready to stop watching these movies. But I'm not. But it's not that I'm not having fun. Like, I say that, and then I'm like, well, I'm enjoying them, and like, it's kind of. I like to have that knowledge of them. So, I mean, I'm glad we're doing it.
Yeah.
It was kind of stupid, but like, it's kind of a fun, stupid like way to spend my energy that's not looking at Twitter. So like, I can't really complain about that.
Put this on the poster. It's better than doom scrolling on Twitter.
Woo,
how's that?
Perfect. Amazing. That's really all I have to say about Wrong Turn 3.
Yep. Now, I do have a story.
Okay. Tell me a story, Terry.
So it's been really cold here, and so I haven't really been outside that much. And so today I noticed that it's actually looking a lot nicer outside. The snow is starting to melt a little bit. The temperature is up into the balmy 30s. And so I was like, I'm going to go outside for a little bit. So I decided to go take a walk. And as I was walking, I discovered on the ground a little key. And the key said, Mary Beth. And I was like, well, this is weird. And I was wondering, Mary Beth, is your Vice a locked room and only I have the key?
These bits are everything, Terry. I was like, all right, where we going? Also, I'm not sure you want access to my Vice after watching this movie. Like, I don't think that's actually something that you want. Yeah. Damn, these are so good. I was like, I cannot.
Sorry.
Wait. No.
I couldn't help myself.
It was so good. But okay, so we watched Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. I kept wanting to call it Your Vice is an Empty Room, like the Death Cab for Cutie song, Your Heart is an Empty Room.
I'm telling you, the connection between Giallo films and the I just lost what they're called. Fall Out Boy.
Death Cab for Cutie?
Their music.
Oh, pop punk.
Yeah, pop punk and emo, that kind of stuff. I think there's a direct connection between the two.
In this essay, I will.
Right. Oh, God.
But yeah, wow. So every week I say this, but Jesus, this is wild. So this is from 1972, directed by Sergio Martino, about a really abusive, awful husband who humiliates his wife. And then women start dying. He becomes the prime suspect. There's a cat named Satan. There's a lot of sex, a lot of
this
bisexual
movie's horny.
energy going on. It's very horny. And it's also Edgar Allan Poe-esque.
Well, it's based on an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Yeah. My favorite was someone on Letterboxd called it Edgar Allan Poe-nography. I was like, damn, that's so funny. Damn it. Damn it, I wish I had thought of that.
What'd you think of this?
I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
I was like thrown off at first.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? But as it kept going and kept going, I was like, this is so fucking weird. I am obsessed with it. And then when like the women started having sex, I was very into it.
Mhm.
And then the women had sex with men. I was like, oh my God, the bisexual energy from this movie is everything I've ever wanted. And everyone's fabulous in this movie and is very attractive. Also,
Yes.
this is a rape revenge movie.
Yeah, you messaged me, and I'm curious for you to dig into that a little bit.
Okay, so hear me out here. There are multiple instances. Okay, so the husband's name is Oh God.
Oliviero.
Yeah, Oliviero. And his wife is Irina,
Mm-hmm.
who has beautiful hair.
Oh
Oliviero,
my God. Her hair.
But Oliviero is a drunk. He is abusive. He's constantly grabbing her and punching her and hitting her and verbally abusing her. And there are several instances where he forces himself on her, where he's drunk and there's just a long scene of him pulling down her underwear. There's scenes where he's like trying to make out with her and pin her to the ground. And while there isn't necessarily like an explicit scene of rape, it's still assault. And it's
Right.
interrelationship assault, which isn't talked about a lot. And so, spoilers, everybody. Spoilers. We'll drop them in the show notes. She kills him. And everyone who fucks with her. And like,
yeah, she does.
That's why it's rape revenge to me, because she like is, this kind of looks like a withering violet or shrinking violet. And then all of a sudden she's like, I gotcha, bitches, and hides them behind the plaster and kills everybody. And she's like, that's what you get for underestimating me. And I saw it as a rape revenge movie in a way.
And she would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you, meddling cat.
Meddling Satan.
If she hadn't abused an animal, she would have gotten away with it.
Dumb bitch. Just kidding.
That's why you don't hurt animals, people.
So you don't hurt animals, especially that beautiful black cat.
Oh, okay. I felt really bad for the cat, not necessarily in the movie, although I felt bad for the cat in the movie, but in real life, like the actor cat, because this is at a time when like, I mean, they're like hitting it with a broom. They're like scaring it. They're like doing all of this stuff. And I felt so bad for that cat. I was like, you are tormenting this cat. And yeah, it's effective in the movie, but I felt so bad for the cat.
I know. Seriously. Yeah, I see it as a rape revenge movie. I did not think that was going to happen, but by the end, it all kind of ties together to me in that way.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because I hadn't really thought about it. I was thinking a lot more of the sort of like psychosexual Edgar Allan Poe gothic tale, and so I was more caught up in that aspect of it. So I was really glad that you mentioned that, because it really did help me like relook it from the very beginning and be like, oh yeah, I could totally see it. I mean, it is like you explaining it. It absolutely 100%. I'm ready to stamp that with that.
Yeah.
What I found interesting about this particular giallo was that it wasn't really a giallo.
No.
It takes a subplot that is a giallo, like it could have been at the beginning. It could be a giallo, and then it takes off into a completely different direction. And that is what I was like, oh, I like what this is doing with it, where it is taking the tropes of the giallo and merging it completely with gothic horror. Because we had that a little bit with the Red Queen kills 7 times.
Yeah.
But this is like, we're going full on psychosexual. He might have an Oedipal complex with his mom. He's an abusive husband. He
has sex with his niece.
And like his wife Irina is also having sex with her husband's niece. So like there's this whole web of like pure gothicness in this part, and I loved when it took that direction and completely blew away my expectations of what this movie was about.
100%. I don't know. It's sleazy, but like I didn't think it was that bad in terms of the sex.
No.
Like, yeah, it's sexy. There's a lot of sex in it, but like it all makes sense to me why the sex is in it.
It's a whole lot less sleazy than
What have you done to
What Have You Done to
Solange?
Solange? Yeah.
Yeah. Like this
a
didn't.
whole lot.
Yeah. This felt much more like purposeful, I think, in the inclusion of sex scenes. And once again, bisexual energy.
Hell yeah. I also love the way it was edited.
Yes.
Like this movie, the editing in this movie is so good. The cinematography in this movie is actually really, really good. But I loved, there's a sequence at the end where there's a motorcycle accident and it's like, it's filming that with like edits of a woman on a billboard with a glimpse of an oil can. Like there's just these quick shots that you can absolutely see that this kind of editing influenced people like Tarantino, who loves giallos, loves the grindhouse films. Like you can see where that kind of editing started with movies like this. It was just, I love that. I love the way this movie was edited.
It's beautiful to watch. Also, this is the first giallo I think that we've watched that had a person of color in it.
Yeah.
Their maid Brenda is a black woman, and you know, of course she's not treated very well, and she's murdered rather quickly.
God, no.
But it's interesting to see a black woman in a giallo because that hasn't really
And I'm pretty sure
happened.
she was queer.
That's right, because she was looking at a woman like a nudie mag.
A nudie mag, yeah.
God.
So I'm pretty sure she was queer. Like I'm like, this movie is like tackling queer themes. And I mean, yeah, it's not necessarily like none of the characters in this movie are actually like good people, like the main trio, but there's queerness, and it's not the queerness. The queerness isn't what's being punished.
Exactly.
I guess is my thing.
Yeah, it's definitely not queerness. And look, not a lot of bisexuality in horror films.
No.
So I will take it.
Plus Edwidge Fenech. Gorgeous.
I would let her kiss me.
I was like, where are we going with this?
Keeping it PG here.
There you
for
go.
For once. But she's
I love her.
Absolutely gorgeous. Also, so Steve and I have desks next to each other, and like I'll watch things on my personal computer while I have working on my work laptop. He'll like look over and make comments, which is my favorite. And he's like, "Who's that guy, Oliviero?" And I said, "I don't know." And Steve loves spaghetti westerns, and he's in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. He plays the brother of Tuco.
Oh.
But Steve was over, he's like, "I know that man." So
I kept thinking that he looks like James Caan. Like he kept giving me like an Italian James Caan type vibe.
Yes.
Younger James Caan.
Oh, and this reminds me, the sweater game of this movie is absolutely on fucking point. Like the the chunky turtlenecks, the designed sweater patterns, mostly on men. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Amazing. Such good sweaters.
Yeah. Well, that was your Vice is a locked room, and only I have the key, and
know.
it is Scarred for Life approved.
It
I
is
would
Scarred
say.
for Life approved. Got that stamp of approval.
That's really important. I know that's important for everybody, but it does.
Okay, so what giallo are we watching next week?
So I think we're going to watch The Corruption of Chris Miller, which is a Spanish giallo.
And it's on Shudder if you want to watch.
It is. So if you want to watch along with us,
Please do.
it has a scythe-wielding serial killer.
I can't.
I mean,
I love Mia Scythe.
What more do you
serial
need?
killer. I love it. And of course, we'll be watching Wrong Turn 4.
oh, yeah, of course. One in the snow.
I can get behind a little bit, like some variety. So excited for
Yeah, absolutely. Take us to a little bit more of a chilly climate.
that.
But who are we talking to on Monday, Mary Beth?
Oh my God, guys.
So excited.
On Monday, we are talking with Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. They have made Resolution, Spring, The Endless, and now Synchronic, which it came out on the 12th, streaming. We talked to them not about a movie, but about a TV episode, the most disturbing X-Files episode, Home.
The only one that ever got a TVM rating.
If you haven't seen Home, it is one of the most shocking episodes of television I've ever seen. And it's on Hulu and HBO Max, I think. There's 2 places where X-Files, they have all of X-Files. It's definitely on Hulu. So it's really fun conversation. They're really awesome. And we were so lucky to score some time with them. So get excited for that one because we sure are.
Right before they're about to really blow up for the rest of the world with the Marvel stuff. Like, just wild timing.
Wild timing. Just as a spoiler alert, they cannot really talk about it, so don't get your hopes up for any inside scoops. Anyway, so y'all have heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch a film that we watched this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for movies we should talk about? Any Giallo suggestions? Any horrible franchises we should dig into next?
Oh, dear God.
Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm a Gaily Dreadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please review, rate, and subscribe.
Thank you to Eric Power for our amazing artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you to everyone for listening. Please stay safe this weekend, wherever you are, whatever is going on, especially if you're in the DMV. Don't go to DC this weekend. Please be safe and also stay creepy.
And until next time.
Won't somebody please think of the children? Won't somebody please think of the children? Somebody please think of the children!
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.